The Seahawks might have Geno Smith on one of the most valuable contracts in the NFL, especially for the quarterback position. Based on a lot of things that are happening this offseason and seeing the numbers that come out, especially for some quarterbacks, it makes you realize that the Seahawks actually have Geno Smith at a really good price. Now, this all depends on what you feel about Geno Smith. Obviously, some people believe he's quarterback one. That's not changing, and there shouldn't be a competition between him and Sam Howell, for example. And other people believe there should be. They believe Geno's a stopgap for this season. There's 1 year left on this contract, and I don't blame either side. But the reality of it all is Geno Smith for $25 million a year is an extremely good value contract in this league. Now, I'm not going to compare his contract and his play to some of the rookie or young guys in the NFL. Obviously, there's guys like CJ Stroud making $9 million a year, and Bryce Young making $9 million a year, and even Jordan Love making $13 million a year. But once you get away from a lot of the quarterbacks that are young, Geno Smith has the cheapest contract for any veteran that's a starting quarterback in this NFL. And I want to go through it and compare some of the numbers that we're seeing. It's a good reminder that this gives the Seahawks the ability this year especially to get guys like Leonard Williams, to make some other adjustments on the team, and hopefully help continue build for the future. Now, obviously, next year is going to get extremely interesting. Geno Smith will become a free agent. We do have Sam Howell for $1 million now. Or maybe Geno Smith signs another NFL quarterback-friendly deal. I'm not going to call it a team-friendly deal, but it is NFL quarterback-friendly. He is at $25 million a year in a $75 million contract from what he signed a few years back. As you can see, then the one right below him is Jordan Love at $13.5 million a year. So Geno Smith is the first quarterback in between the range of 13 to 25 million. So he's in his own category, right smack in the middle of contracts for quarterbacks in the NFL. And above him is Baker Mayfield, who just signed his 3-year, $100 million contract. Now, you see the next closest is Baker Mayfield, as I said, but it's still at an $8.3 million difference per year. And when you look at the numbers, they're not that much crazier. They're not a huge difference or anything like that. Geno Smith, 2022, had 4,200 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 11 picks. In 2023, at 3,600 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. And you go to Baker Mayfield's stats, 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 10 picks. Now, it's a little bit better than what Geno Smith did this year, but it's very comparable and almost the exact same stats as 2022 Geno Smith. And you have to consider, this is also by far the best season of Baker Mayfield's career. Now, the real question would be, would you feel like replacing Geno Smith for Baker Mayfield for another $8 million a year? I think most people would say no, unless you have extremely high hopes that Baker Mayfield at 29 years old is all of a sudden going to take a huge leap to become another level of quarterback. The reality is he probably won't, and he'll probably be as good as he was last year, but that's not going to make you a Super Bowl winning team. You can look at guys like Jared Goff at $33 million. That's a great contract as well. You have Derek Carr at $37 million a year. And Derek Carr last year himself was 3,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 8 picks. It's really not much different than what Geno Smith did last year. And you just keep going up the list. Guys like Daniel Jones making $40 million a year. Obviously, he didn't play every game last year, so he only had 900 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 6 picks. But still, that's an awful way to start. And the year before, 3,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 5 picks. I don't even think it's arguable Geno Smith's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. You obviously start to keep hitting people in the 40, 43, 45, $46 million range. People like Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson's, Kyler Murray's, Kirk Cousins of the world, Mahomes, Josh Allen. All of them, of course, are way higher up there, and it's understandable. But there's also some quarterbacks, when you see them that high on the list, and you compare to the idea of having Geno Smith at his price, I don't know which team has a better, option? Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons for $45 million a year is a lot of money. I love Kirk Cousins. I think it's a phenomenal destination for him. I think it's great for the Falcons too. But if I told the Falcons, we'll give you Geno Smith for $25 million a year for the next 3 years instead of Kirk Cousins for $45, $20 million less, I think the Falcons would take Geno Smith. I think if I looked at the Cowboys and said Dak Prescott at $40 million or Geno Smith at 20 to 25, they might pick Geno. It's actually closer than many people think. I know if I went to the Browns and said Deshaun Watson for $46 million or Geno Smith for 25, they'd probably change this and pick Geno Smith. The whole point of this is that, paying a quarterback crazy money is not always the best option, number one, in the NFL. And number two is, it's easy to complain when you're not winning a Super Bowl, right? It's easy to sit here and say, I can't believe we're paying Geno Smith $25 million, or I don't think he's the quarterback of the future, whatever it may be. But I think we are more grateful than people realize. Geno Smith at $25 million has been a phenomenal deal. He was 13th last year in all of PFF's passer ratings. And if you just go to overall passer ratings with actually players that played the whole season, he would go higher because you had Kirk Cousins there, which he obviously didn't play the whole year. So Geno Smith actually moves up in his passing grades to number 11 in the NFL. The only quarterbacks above Geno Smith last year were Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Mahomes, Stafford, Prescott, Allen, and Tua Tagovailoa. But I was shocked that he was even at that point. But Geno Smith had a higher passing grade on PFF than Brock Purdy, than C.J. Stroud, than Trevor Lawrence, Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Gardner Minshew, a lot of quarterbacks. So is Geno Smith overpriced? Absolutely not. And I find this next coming year to be very interesting for Geno Smith because I think everybody's also wondering, what is his future? Did the Seahawks trade back 2 picks and go get Sam Howell to just have him be the Drew Lock, the backup? Or are they actually trying to see who he is to compete? Because John Schneider said it before. He loved Sam Howell out of the 2022 draft. Maybe he does believe there's some opportunity. I mentioned it on another video, and I'll throw it up here as well. But Sam Howell and Josh Allen have extremely comparable stats through their first 18 games. Josh Allen, another guy that John Schneider loved and loved the idea of developing and bringing to the Seahawks. He obviously didn't get him, but people hate on Sam Howell for that, 21 interceptions last year, 22 total in his first 18 games. But you never know if a guy in the right system can be fixed. And Sam Howell has the talent, the arm, and the ability. So I'm not sure if the Seahawks are making this a competition or just bringing him in to be the backup like Drew Lock. But he does have a contract next year for $1 million on the Seahawks, and Geno Smith will be a free agent. So this year is going to be very interesting to see what happens. A couple things. If Geno Smith has a phenomenal year, if he goes back to 2022 Geno Smith, 4,200 yards, 70% completion percentage, 30 touchdowns, 11 picks, 100 quarterback rating, then is he going to be able to take a $25 million contract again? Maybe he does. Maybe he's grateful for this opportunity, being a guy that, like Sam Howell, had 20-something picks, 21 picks in his first full NFL season and never got a good starting job again until he came to the Seahawks. Maybe he's willing to take less than the Baker Mayfield contract, the same one he's taking now, 20 to 25 million a year, and we run it back for a couple more years. Maybe he's looking for more money and it doesn't become the value that I've been talking about. And maybe he doesn't play as well. We did see some regression in 2023. I'm hoping it's not more regression, but overall, these last 2 years of Geno Smith and then going into this season based on his last 2 years of stats, I think it's pretty ridiculous how good of a deal Geno Smith's on. And I think this was just a public service announcement to appreciate the contract and appreciate the play from Geno Smith a little more than I think Seahawks fans have. Because at the end of the day, it's been a phenomenal contract, and I'd rather be here than at $37.5 million of a Derek Carr or for $40 million for a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers or $40 million for Daniel Jones. Seahawks have a chance. I'm not saying they're going to, but a chance to be a very competitive team with a quarterback paid an extremely mid-level value who's playing above a mid-level value, sitting at almost top 10 in all statistics on PFF grades. And pretty much projections-wise, he'll probably fit into the top 10 to 12 in many categories this coming season, all while being paid like the 15th, 16th best quarterback in the league. And he might be more of a top 12, close to top 10 when he's playing right in the league. I'm really excited to see where this next season plays out. It's going to mean a lot for our future and a lot for our pocketbooks as Seahawks fans. So let's see what happens. I'm excited to find out. And please like and subscribe. I'm coming to you 4 or 5, sometimes 6 days a week with Seahawks videos to your feed. So check it out, and we'll be back next time. Peace.